The resurrection of a myth. In the vast and silent collective memory of humanity, there is one creature that stands above all others as the ultimate symbol of finality. This is the dodo. It is a name that has been dragged through the mud of history, becoming a universal synonym for obsolescence, stupidity, and the cold reality of extinction. We have all heard the phrase dead as a dodo, a linguistic tombstone for a bird that most people believe was too dumb to survive its own existence. But what if the history books were written by those who didn't understand what they were looking at? What if everything we thought we knew about this bird was a fabrication of sailors' tales and poorly observed sketches? The reality is that the dodo was not a clumsy, fat, and slow-witted failure of nature. It was, in fact, a highly specialized biological masterpiece, perfectly tuned to its island paradise for thousands of years before the first human foot ever touched the shores of Mauritius. Today, we peel back the layers of 17th century myths and colonial-era misconceptions to journey deep into the heart of the Indian Ocean. We will explore the true biology of this lost giant, uncovering a tragic sequence of events that began with a curious discovery in 1598 and ended in a total vanishing act just a century later. This is not just a story of a bird, it is a tragedy of innocence lost and a haunting scientific warning for our modern age. Biology and evolutionary origins. To truly understand the dodo, we have to look past the cartoonish depictions and investigate its true family tree, which is far more humble than you might expect. For centuries, people debated what kind of bird the dodo actually was, but modern genetic analysis of the Oxford dodo specimen has finally settled the debate with a shocking truth. The dodo's closest living relative is not the ostrich, the emu, or any other flightless giant. It is the Nicobar pigeon. Millions of years ago, the dodo's ancestors were capable of flight and made their way across the ocean to the volcanic island of Mauritius. Upon arrival, they found an evolutionary jackpot, a land teeming with food and absolutely devoid of mammalian predators. There were no lions, no wolves, and not even a single rat to threaten them. In this predator-free vacuum, flight became an unnecessary luxury that required too much energy to maintain. Evolution redirected that energy into body size, bone density, and ground-dwelling strength. Standing nearly 3 feet tall and weighing up to 40 pounds, the dodo was a formidable and muscular pigeon. It possessed a massive, hooked beak that was far more than a decorative feature. It was a powerful biological tool used to crack open the hardest tropical nuts and fruits that other animals couldn't touch. Debunking the stupidity myth. Recent scientific scans of dodo brain endocasts have revealed even more secrets about their daily lives. Unlike most birds that rely almost entirely on sight, the dodo had a significantly enlarged olfactory bulb. This gave it a superior, almost canine sense of smell, allowing it to navigate the dense, humid jungle floor to find fallen fruit hidden beneath the leaf litter. Far from being the bumbling, clumsy bird seen in cartoons, its skeletal structure reveals it was a lean and muscular runner. If the dodo was so well adapted, why does history remember it as a bloated, fat fool? The answer lies in artistic license. Most of the iconic paintings we see today were based on overfed captive specimens kept as curiosities in Europe. Just like a pet that gets too many treats, these dodos in London and Amsterdam became overweight and lethargic because of their unnatural environment. In the wild of Mauritius, the dodo was likely a fit and alert athlete of the forest. The sailors' descriptions of the bird as stupid came from a tragic misunderstanding of island biology. Because the dodo had evolved without any natural enemies, it had no genetic concept of fear. When humans approached with clubs and nets, the dodo stood its ground out of curiosity rather than running for its life. It wasn't because the bird was dumb, it was because it was innocent. The arrival of humans and ecological collapse. The tragedy truly began in 1598, when a Dutch expedition landed on the pristine shores of Mauritius. The sailors were tired, starving, and ravaged by disease after months at sea. they found an island teeming with life that didn't know how to run away. They called the dodo walgvogel, or loathsome bird, not because it was ugly, but because they found its meat tough and unpalatable compared to the pigeons and parrots they were used to eating. However, even if they didn't like the taste, the sailors discovered that the dodo's gizzard was a delicacy, leading to senseless hunting for single parts of the bird. But hunting was only a small part of the disaster. The real killers were the uninvited guests the humans brought with them. Ships were infested with rats that escaped into the jungle and began a systematic feast on dodo eggs. The sailors introduced pigs, goats, and monkeys, which completely upended the island's ecosystem. The dodo was a K-selected species, meaning it produced very few offspring, likely laying only one large egg at a time in a nest on the ground. Against a wave of hungry pigs and clever macaques, the dodo's reproductive cycle was destroyed. The last widely accepted sighting was in 1662 by a shipwrecked mariner named Volkert Everts. He noted that when one dodo was captured and cried out, the others would run to its aid, demonstrating a social and protective behavior that made it easy for hunters to wipe out entire groups at once. The discovery of bones and scientific redemption. By the end of the 17th century, the dodo had vanished into the shadows of history. For nearly 200 years, the scientific community actually believed the dodo was a myth, a creature made up by sailors to entertain people back home. It wasn't until the 1860s, when George Clark excavated the Mare aux Songes swamp, that thousands of subfossil bones were found, proving the bird's existence to a shocked world. Today, our physical connection to the dodo is heartbreakingly thin. There is no complete, stuffed specimen left on Earth. The most precious relic is the Oxford head, the only specimen containing skin and soft tissue. Recent CT scans of this head revealed a grim detail. Lead shot was found in the back of the skull, proving that this specific bird was hunted and killed before being shipped to Europe. Today, the dodo's story has entered a new chapter through the lens of genetic engineering. Scientists have successfully mapped its entire genome, and companies are now discussing de-extinction. Using CRISPR technology, they hope to edit the DNA of a Nicobar pigeon to recreate a living version of the dodo. The conclusion and the warning. But even if we manage to bring the bird back, we are faced with a moral dilemma. The Mauritius it once knew is gone, and the predators that killed it are still there. The dodo remains our most potent reminder of human-driven extinction. It has moved from being a joke about failure to a global icon of conservation. The dodo didn't fail to survive, we failed to let it live. Its story is a permanent witness to the fragility of life and the lasting impact of our footprints on this planet. The bird that didn't know how to fear us has become the very thing we should fear becoming, a memory held together by fragments of bone and old paintings. As we look at the thousands of species currently on the brink, the dodo watches us. Its silent, hooked beak tells a story of innocence, a century of chaos, and an eternity of silence. May we learn from the dodo before the phrase "dead as a dodo" applies to more of our world. Thank you for watching this journey through time. If you want to help protect the species of today, stay curious, stay informed, and never forget the lesson of Mauritius. The story of the dodo is more than just a tale of a bird that disappeared. It is a mirror held up to humanity, showing us how easily a masterpiece of nature can be erased by a single century of carelessness. Today, as we stand on the brink of a new era of biotechnology, we are left with a haunting question. Should we bring the dodo back just because we can? Or should we focus on protecting the millions of species that are still here, fighting for their lives in a rapidly changing world? The dodo is no longer just dead. It is a permanent reminder that once a spark of life is extinguished, the silence that follows lasts forever. Let us make sure that the next generation doesn't have to look at photos of our world today and wonder why we let its beauty slip away. If this journey into the life of the dodo fascinated you, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel reach more people. I want to hear from you. What is your take on de-extinction? Should we use DNA technology to bring the dodo back, or should it remain a part of history? Let's discuss it in the comments below. For more deep dives into the mysteries of our natural world and the history of life on Earth, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.